But yeah, Lonnie has a good point. I mean, as long as, unless Fortran is required for the job, you want to put that on there.
No, those kind of people are hardly alive anymore.
So getting the initial pre-screen, so the recruiter's goal is to weed people out. That's basically what a recruiter does. And if you can get to the recruiter, it's really important to ask them why you're hiring, why is the position open, who's the hiring manager, what are they like, when do they need to fill the job. And these are all legitimate questions that a recruiter can answer. What are you really looking for? Many companies, like I said before, don't know what they're looking for. Preparing for the interview, so practicing, I do it. I practice when I go on a job interview. I'll practice behavioral interviewing. I'll look at my resume and kind of say, okay, this is what these people are looking at. So, what can I talk about that I was most proud of? What can I talk about? How can I talk about the best team I worked on? What's the biggest mistake I ever made? And start thinking about these scenarios, because if you can communicate to people your past experiences and how you handle them, and a lot of times, if you made a mistake, it's good to own up that you made a mistake and what was the learning from that. So bottom line is people hire who they like, and it's subjective, it's unconscious, and that's it's amazing. I'll interview someone and the whole team will interview them and they want to hire them, and I'm like, no, I have some concerns, but they all really connected with the person. And I see it time and time again. If you have a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of tenacity, managers will look at that and compensate for the lack of skills for the job or match for the job. So they'd much rather hire someone who's enthusiastic, who's flexible, who's excited about the job, than someone who's a technical expert who is, just rubs you the wrong way or thinks they're better than everyone else. Prima donna. So some things never change. They never change. Did I miss anything? So even if the company doesn't, and you can use this for talking to people. I had a guy today talk to me. He was giving me specific examples of what he'd done and how he handled it. So, my advice is think of yourself as your accomplishments and your learnings, and not necessarily what's on the resume. I spent 8 years at HP. I spent 8 years at Nokia. I'm a mechanical engineer. Think of yourself as, wow, I was most proud of the time when I was able to finish this project, or I really screwed up when I hired that guy and didn't have approval on the rec. So because that's what a company's going to look for. They're going to look for how do you handle real life situations. And if you can give them those examples, it's basically what they're looking for. It's a better indicator of who you are, because the company hires you. Jay, you get a job as a software engineer. They're taking approximately $1 million investment, right, on your potential, and they probably met and spent 3 hours with you, right? So it's a tricky business. So any questions? Yes.
I'm just always curious how the whole system works. How does an inside hiring corporate recruiter get some of the person's first year salary, or
I wish.
How does that all work?
No, corporate recruiters work in-house. So I work for Nokia. I'm a Nokia employee. I don't get employee referral bonuses. I don't get any of that.
Do you work with outside corporate recruiters that bring you? Yeah,
Sure.
bring you.
Sure. Yeah.
And they get paid
They get
a portion
paid.
of the salary.
And that's another avenue, headhunters. If you can find a headhunter and you have specific skills, they'll make 25, 30% of your salary and bonus. So they'll work really hard for you.
We had a Brian Johnston present last month.
Okay.
Has he called you? He has to have called you.
I don't know, he might have emailed.
Or maybe he called the hiring managers and you don't even know it.
Yeah, so there's, as a corporate recruiter, we look for resumes in our database. Then, you know, if we can't find people, we'll go to LinkedIn, we'll go to Dice, we'll go to Career Builder, we'll do Google, Boolean searches, and if we still can't find someone, we'll hire a headhunter to help out.
What's been your usage rate on headhunters?
Let's see, in San Diego, it's been really low. Up in the Bay Area, it's much higher. And now it's starting to pick up. So the good news is hiring's picking up. Recruiters are getting hired, so that's the first indication. So there were, I think, last November, there were like 300 recruiters at Google let go, that contract recruiters. So now they're starting to get jobs. And I think, well, we used them, like we hired a vice president and a VP of HR and a director of AT&T. So they use headhunters for those high-end jobs.
If you do you normally give out the name or contact of the hiring manager?
Nope. You can kill
Because
me.
if you
can
did,
kill
I
me.
mean, it's like that person would then just go right to the hiring manager and bypass you.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're asking, like it's a legitimate question, who's the hiring manager, but how many internal recruiters are going to give you that information?
Still has. Still has. Especially if you come referred by someone. Right? So, you know, if it's someone cold calling me, I won't get it. Now at Nokia, if you call the switchboard and ask for me, they'll transfer you to me. But if you want to get transferred to someone else, I, you know. Yeah, but I would. So, you know, you have a good point. Maybe, you know, you could ask that, but chances are you're not going to get the hiring managers.
Do you, as a recruiter, go into the salary issues with whoever you're screening?
Yeah.
Like, either you will ask the potential client or the candidate, what are they looking to make? Or what are they looking for as compensation? Yeah, I mean, you're asking for a number, and that's, you know, a lot of people know that the first one who gives a number loses.
Yeah, that's.
So,
People will tell you what position they had sex in last night before how much money they wanted. It's amazing. When you talk about money, the way I pre-screen people, if we're interested in you, I would send you an email and ask you about your expectations. Not, you know, and, you know, if I was in your shoes, I would say, you know, something that's comparable to the skills and the job.
comparable to what?
The skills and the job.
But that's like no answer.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Well, it's a game.
where does that get you, and where does that get the
Well,
candidate?
yeah, so I would come back
You
to you and
tried.
say, okay, well, what do you want to make? And you'd be like, well, I really don't want to discuss that. And it's like, well, I need to know if you want to make $300,000 because if not, you know, if you do, you're wasting my time. So, you know, at some point you have to be realistic, you know, what you're looking for.